Let's talk about Vitality then. You brought them up. Like, obviously, if you look at the last few weeks, Vitality is absolutely one of the teams that is on a tear. They've won 4 of the last 5 games. They've beaten a bunch of those elite teams that I mentioned before that were considered the cleanest and the best in the LEC, sure, weeks ago now. But at one point in time, these teams had that narrative established. The reason it's interesting we're going to talk about them this week, Dom, is every other past episode, as all the fans know, was essentially just us pointing out that, like, Vitality's not very good, but Perkz has actually been really good. Like, the joke is Perkz actually probably would be an MVP candidate himself if you look at what it's taken to win some of the game. And all that happens is this is how bad fans are, Dom. I actually saw some of the comments are so broken that their take is this. Their take is like, well, yeah, he is playing well, but, like, you are kind of dick sucking by mentioning it. It's like, oh, so just noticing things now is a crime. Like, we're not even allowed to actually. So basically, if one of the greatest players of all time is playing well in a team that's losing, and you're all saying he's the reason they're sucking, us pointing out actually he's laning and playing quite well is somehow dick sucking. Like, well, you're just doing the dick sucking the other way, aren't you? You're like dick spitting out then or something, you moron. Like, oh, you're just hating on him in every possible scenario, and then at the end you go, well, all right, well, factually, I guess you are right. He is good, but I just don't want him to be. So don't say it. Like, well, it's not your fucking 12th birthday party, you twat. You don't get to decide the conversation. So anyway, this week actually shows that Vitality is real, Dom. And I'll tell you why. Because, dude, he didn't even actually start out that crazy well as he normally does. Like, he actually had some dodgy moments. But as you say, that G2 game looked banging. Also, he looks fucking amazing on Tilly if you had the last few weeks together. And it wasn't even just Perkz this time. For all the blame of all the criticism we've given him, actually Alfari looked good this last week. And then I have to say, you know what? I've given him so much criticism, I'll give him his props now. You know what? I now know why they put Renata onto Labrov. I didn't any other fucking game he ever played in here. He never pressed star. This time he actually looked fucking good, mate. He was actually doing well. And the team in general, something has changed about Vitality. And the reason I say that is this. I even thought they played team fights well, dude. They were like cycling out the low health members. And like loads of times they should have like traded like 3 for 3, like 2, and they just wouldn't. They would get away because they would just get away with like 4 health and cycle that guy out and bring it. They actually looked good. Dude, Vitality, I can't. Some part of me doesn't believe it can continue, but fucking hell, they actually had some cohesion. They were a real team.
Well, I mean, I think that they've actually kind of accepted their identity. I think up until now, they were kind of in that mentality of we're still a super team. Like, Carzzy can still play. It's like, no, Carzzy can't play everything. You put him on weak side every fucking game, whether it's Senna, whether it's Ezreal, whether it's some other fucking pick. Didn't they play a Seraphine game at some point? I don't even remember all the fucking picks he's played, but literally just you weak side Carzzy every fucking game. You use the 2 solo laners that have been performing in lane, and you actually just play for them, and they're gonna fucking win you the games. And Carzzy won't lose you the games.
Good Band-Aid, turns out.
But yeah, but like, why is having a Band-Aid solution so looked down upon when the team is struggling for like 75% of the year? They literally looked bad for 75% of the year, and then like people are still like, nah, it's not good enough. Don't Band-Aid it yet. Just hold out and just keep on trying to make Carzzy like a fucking carry, and then you're gonna like end up with the results. I don't know. It's super weird. I saw the comments on the last video too, where it's like, here's my question, right? How in a fan's mind is Vitality tied for second, 8-5, with wins over the people that everyone's been saying is better than them? XL, right? Everyone was saying XL is better. G2 is another team that everyone was saying is better. How do they win these games, right? They're 8-5 in the league, second place, with all 5 players being fucking dog shit. Like, sure, if you want to go there, if you want to be the LPL elitist, look, I'm normally the LPL elitist. I try to tone it down for these shows to make it interesting. If you want to be the LPL elitist and be like, well, it's because everyone fucking sucks. Sure, that's your solution. But compared to the players that are playing in this league right now, Perkz is one of the best.
Oh, for sure.
Like, that is just a fact. And I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry that he's one of the best. I know he's annoying. I know he's confident in himself with like, that makes just a lot of these basement dwellers just see. I
can see why, if you don't fuck with his personality, it'd be easy to hate on him, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, people fucking hate his personality. They hate looking at him and he's like, oh man, why does he think he's so good? It's like, yeah, maybe because he's fucking won like 9 splits out of like 12 or some shit, like, or like 13 split. Like, that's like, I would fucking feel pretty good about myself, like at that point too. Like, when I was in LCS, I thought I was fucking good and I didn't even win.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so imagine
it took my boy Odoamne what 7 years to make one final. Perkz has won like 9 of the motherfuckers. So exactly. Like, I'd get, you know what, fans, I don't know if you can believe this or not, I'd get pretty cocky if I was that good, you know.
Yeah, I don't know why he has self-confidence, but then also like his team fucking sucks. So it's like, you look at Carzzy and Labrov have been so fucking bad this year. Haru didn't start playing the game until week 4.
Yep.
Week 4 is the first time I ever saw him gank a lane. I was like, oh my God, he ganked something. He's a human. Like, they actually have a chance to win.
I'll give him props for this last week, actually. He actually looked half decent. He had some invades. Looked like they even were working with the jungler, for fuck's sake. Because I was on the same train you were, Dom. My whole thing with Vitality last week was basically, I only care about putting Bo into the team. The Bo guy, the eye test checks out. He looks like he's fucking amazing. Put him in the team. In fact, the fact that the team's shit, great. He can just do whatever he wants. Let him play like fucking old school Rush in the LCS. Just do whatever you want, basically. Like, the team doesn't matter. Dude, they could actually, even if Haru stays, they could do something. This team wasn't terrible when he's playing the last few weeks.
I mean, just look at how they're playing. So the whole problem was that, I mean, I watch all the games with Rat. What Rat would always say, we watch all the Vitality games. He would always be like, well, Perks is just going to go up 10 CS and then nothing happens based off it and then Vitality loses. That was the problem. But imagine if your mid is winning by 10 CS every fucking game and you can actually just go to his lane. You can just go to his lane and dive the guy that's forced under turret. They did that, and you saw what the game was. Like, the game for G2 fucking exploded off that. It's like, wait, so if we just move to that guy's lane, we let the Ezreal just farm bot, our jungler actually ganks, and then what happens? Perks gets the kill mid. Well, then he's top lane, and he gets another kill, and then he's 2-0 at like 6 minutes, and then he's just 10-0 by the end of the game. Caps doesn't even get to breathe. Like, that's what's possible if you actually make use of somebody winning lane. Sure, people can say, oh, it's not that impressive to go up 10 CS, but if you can consistently get pressure in your lane, it opens up your teammates to play around you so heavily. Like, this is how fucking top teams always play. This is why top teams have that strong side and that weak side dynamic, because the strong side players, they'll give them the picks to get the lead, and then they can play around that. And then once you have like Zhao who top lane, you know, back with RNG, once you have him up like 10 CS and the guy's chunked under turret, you gank it once, becomes a 30 CS lead. You can just keep on playing. It's so easy to play the game. So that's why I was so hard on Haru, is because he was never hitting those timings. And suddenly he starts ganking for Alphari. He starts ganking for Perks. They look like a completely different team. They look like actually one of the best teams in LEC right now. I mean, after this week, who can you say is better than Vitality and Mad Lions? Like, who can you say? I'm not going to say Rogue. I'm not going to say Rogue. I'm not going to say XL, who they just beat. I'm not going to say G2, who they just beat. Never will I believe that Misfits is actually good with their roster. And then Fnatic looks like dog shit. They're literally just looking like the second best team.
Although I will say, here's something that might seem like a weird take, but I think this is a great moment to say it. Now you know, though, why this was considered a super team, Dom. Because the point is, you know, like, I get for fans, if you're a really casual fan and you really do just go on the roller coaster of like, oh my God, 2-0, oh my God, 0-2, and you're just like up and down. Like, I get that, it feels like whiplash, right? But basically, in the same reason why we never totally wrote off Fnatic until I did last week. That's the final time. I'm done with them now. The reason I never wrote off Fnatic is because when you have players of that quality, they can turn it around. Like, these are formerly great players. The Vitality players, there's a reason why people put so much scrutiny on them. Like, all you needed, as you see now, was like Perks was already playing well. We just need Alphari to play well. By the way, Nar being one of the main picks has made it easy for him. He was always a fucking Nar main. There you got GPs in the meta. You have to even ban that potentially. So like already he's back in the mix. Like I said, Haru's played fine and Labrov had some good games. Like, boys, when the team comes together, this is why this team was so infuriating in spring, because the pieces are there. They should be so much better than they were. Like, where they are now is actually where this team was supposed to be from day one of spring split, basically. Obviously was self-made back then. In fact, there's even the final detail. Now you get why they made this team. Think about it logically. Here's what they thought. Like, Perks and Alphari both thought, well, we want to play with each other because we both think we're the best. If you're Alphari, you're probably even looking at Perks going, brilliant, I'm not that great outside of lane. You basically, that is your entire office outside of lane. We should just play together. Then what happens is you go, let's bring over that Kazi guy that we're all friends with. And since he knows he wasn't the main reason Mad Lions won, he'll just be weak side all game long. Stick that Labrov guy who's number one in solo queue with him. Oh, and what's that? Self-made, the guy who dominates all the scrims wants to play. Brilliant. Like, you can see on paper that did look great. You could see how if Self-made was actually prime Self-made and we were in a farming jungle meta, he'd be having a fucking great time. Like, this team would be baller. So, like, look, I'm not going to go too far. I still think they've got some flaws. I certainly don't think you can just take these 2 weeks and just delete the rest of the year. But, mate, now you're seeing sort of why they at least tried to make this team. You can see what they were hoping could at least happen.
Look, I mean, they're just one of those teams where I'm looking for them to make playoffs. If they make playoffs, there's a good chance this team goes to Worlds. I mean, yes. Look, if you make playoffs, 2/3 of the teams that make playoffs go to Worlds, number one. Like, that's just the beginning of it. The other part of it is, like when you look at it, like, I mean, who else is actually showing like they actually know how to play League right now?
Well, we'll get to that because I want to save that topic till the end. Actually, we're going to do like a who are the 4 teams, and we'll see. We'll put our money where our mouth is. Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or be a pleb and don't.